All right, guys, welcome back to another video. You guys are getting pretty good at this. We've been doing quite a few, so this one should go a little bit faster. What you need to start out with, though, is your purple notebook. So the one that we've been doing all of the story stuff in. You can see story vocabulary and the hard and fast rules. So have that out. We are going to be coloring, cutting, and gluing. So we're going to need colored pencils, scissors, and a glue stick as well. We'll see that. Hopefully that glue stick will come back. But the pages that you're going to need are, there it is. You're going to need your genres of fiction page. These two pages that say science fiction, fantasy, realistic fiction, and historical fiction. And then the pages that you'll find behind that. And they are all of the different stories. We're going to be coloring a little bit and cutting every one of these out. You'll see why they're important in the future, but once you do cut them out, make sure you keep them all together. We're gonna need all of them. There's 4 pages. You can see that the first one starts with number 1 up in the top corner. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one ends with number 24. So you should have 24 of these little cards once they are cut out. You can add a little bit of color to them, but just make sure that all the other parts have color. So once you have all of your materials out, go ahead and resume the video because we're going to work on focusing on what page we're going to be putting everything into and how to cut it. Okay, so the first page we're going to be gluing in is the genres of fiction page. You can see it says realistic fiction, historical fiction, science fiction, and fantasy. As a lot of you are probably used to now, we see that there's a little spine to the book, just like a regular book, but what we're gonna be paying attention, this is where we're gonna be putting the glue on the back of this part and gluing it down so it flaps open. So just keep in mind that we're going to be able to open these up. Just like usual too, you're gonna save your title. So when we're cutting everything out, you cut the 4 books out and the title after you've colored the 4 books. The important thing to note for this one though, is when we open up our notebooks, you'll see our connotations and then all of our hard and fast rules. We aren't done with our hard and fast rules yet. So the quotation marks one that we just did on page 11, we aren't going to glue this down on the next page. We're gonna save the next couple pages for hard and fast rules and other pages. The page we are gluing genres of fiction onto is going to be page 15. So in your purple notebooks, open up to page 15 and put it off to the side. Then we can come back to this page. We're gonna color in the different books and cut it out. And then we can move on to the next part. So go ahead and pause the video, get that done, and resume once you have these colored and cut out. All right, guys, once you have all of these 4 boxes cut out, including your title, genres of fiction, we're gonna go back to page 15 and start gluing in. So of course, first goes my title, genres of fiction. I'm gonna put some glue right here, glue down my title, and then I'm going to glue in these little booklets just how they appear. So each one of these is folded over. I colored it darker. So on the back, I'm gonna make sure that it is folded. Put glue on the back of that fold. And I'm going to glue it in right off to the side here. That way, when I have it, it pops up like this and I can open it up. On the other side, I'm gonna come over here and put the science fiction one. Make sure that the side is bent over and put my glue on this one. I like to make sure it's nice and straight. What's nice about these is now that they open up just like that. We're gonna do the same thing for the historical fiction and realistic fiction. Make sure these are different colors. And pay attention to what colors you're using because you'll see on the next one, we're gonna use the same colors for the same types of fiction. That'll make sense though in a minute. So I'm going to get these glued down. Just like that. So hopefully you can see it well. Each of them is glued down and we have it pretty simple just like that. Now, what I was saying about colors is now you have your other pages with the same terms, like science fiction and fantasy. With these ones, I use the same colors for these because these are going to go on the next page. So science fiction, red, red. Fantasy, green, green. Realistic fiction, orange, and historical fiction, blue and blue. So go ahead and get this one glued down and these ones colored and come back to see how we're going to put these ones down. All right, everybody, this is our last step. So we're going to take each of these pockets or these rectangles of paper that are cut out. You should have them colored. And we're only going to put glue on this side, but around the dark part. The reason for that is when we glue it, it's going to act as a pocket for all of these different story pieces when we have those cut out. So on the first page, we're going to have fantasy and science fiction, and on the other page, we're going to have realistic fiction and historical fiction. What pages are those? They are 16 and 17. So obviously on the last one, we used page 15. These ones, we're starting on 16 and 17. So how am I going to glue it? Only on the outer side of the sides and the bottom, not the top, because we want it to be open like a pocket. So if I put glue around the sides just like that, I come right here, I put this one down, make sure it's glued around the side, and I should have a little pocket just like this. Let's see if you can see it. Those will fall off, but you should have a pocket just like that. That is where our pages are gonna go, our little squares. So after this, what you need to do is go on and do the same thing to each one of these. Just like so. Your page should end up like this, and you should be able to put things in the pocket right there. Once you're done with that, if you have time, you can start going through and cutting out our little rectangles. They're not straight lines, so they're a little bit more difficult. But once we learn about the different genres, we are going to be reading each of these little descriptions and putting them into the correct pockets. So you will need to have them cut out. Coloring is not the most important thing. You can always go in and color these ones later. Don't worry about coloring these ones though. The big thing is making sure that we have the other ones colored so we know what genres we're talking about. So at some point you'll have all these ones cut out and you want to be able to put it into one of these pockets just like that. Okay, go ahead.